Yeah, so hello everybody, and thank you for joining. My name is Natalia, and I manage Beetroot Academy in Stockholm. Today's webinar is hosted by Beetroot and Beetroot Academy. If you haven't heard about us, Beetroot is a Swedish-Ukrainian IT company which specializes in building teams of developers and designers to work for international clients. And Beetroot Academy is a Swedish-Ukrainian IT school that helps people take their career to the next level. And we teach intensive IT courses in a friendly atmosphere. No one is left behind. So as a part of our international team, international expansion, this spring we opened Beetroot Academy in Kosovo and Sweden. In our schools, we offer both online and offline courses in web development, design, IT, management, and much more. If you need any additional information, just contact me after the webinar. And before we start, I would like to mention some technical moments. Please turn off your audio and video during the webinar, and you can ask questions in the chat. In the very end, we will have a Q&A session, so the speaker will try to answer your questions. If you have trouble with the video, please rejoin or send me a message, and I will try to help you. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention. So Sergey, please start.
Do you hear me now? I probably have some troubles with the mic. Okay. Yeah, I will check just if everything is working. So you probably hear me. I hope I don't use any headphones, so I hope you don't hear any echoes. And do you see me? Okay. Yeah, cool. And you probably see my screen. Yeah, nice. Okay. Good. So hi everyone. I guess we can start. My name is Sergey. I'm a UI/UX designer. Today we are going to talk about UI design, and our theme sounds like are you a future UI designer? So the idea for this theme is for those who are probably looking for maybe a new job or a new career in IT, maybe you heard something about design in IT in general, and maybe thinking to start learning how to become a UI designer or designer in general. I guess it would be, I hope it will be interesting to hear. The idea or theme, I'll try to explain in a few words what is UI designer doing, what is daily tasks and routines, and what you will do as a UI designer, and in general, what is UI design. Good. So at the end of this webinar, we will have some small practical task, and we'll try to do it together. If you are interested in it, you can go to figma.com. We will use Figma tool for this. If you don't have account there, you can create it by free. You don't need to download anything. It's just free web tool. So we can try it and do our prototype here. So while I'm talking, you can go to figma.com, create a new account, and at the end we can create something together. So the agenda for today, I will tell you a few words about me, my journey as a designer. We also will take a look at different kinds of IT design professions, which are now, so you can be familiar with them. And we will focus on what is UI design. We'll talk about this one. Also, just to describe what is UI designer doing every day, so you can imagine what it is to be a UI designer and what you will supposed to do at your work. We'll go through your daily task and routine, and after that, we'll try to do a small practical task, your first UI design. And we will have some time for question and answers. Good. If you have any questions or if it's something not clear, just please let me know in chat. It's a bit hard to speak to only yourself without any feedback. Okay, so a few words about me. I'm originally from Ukraine. Last year, I've been working and living in Gothenburg, Sweden. Right now, I'm UI UX designer, product designer, but I started in 2012, and as you can see, I changed a few design titles through this time. So I will just go through all of them, explain how I became a designer, and a bit what I've done for each this design profession, so you can imagine what it is. So it actually happened quite spontaneously. I didn't plan to be a designer. I actually didn't know what it is in general, designer. At that time, I just knew and learned a bit Adobe Photoshop. It was everything that I know. And I was looking for a job, and I just saw some advertising that some firm was looking for a photo editor. It was called like that. I didn't know what it is. I just was okay. Let's maybe try. And after that, I just started learning all others graphic tools, Adobe Suite, and it became really interesting to me. I started to dig a bit deeply in it, and in a year I changed my work and started working as a digital engineer, which actually is not even close to design at all. I just saw different designs from others, and my job responsibilities was check this design technically. So I worked at printing house, and my work was to get design layouts, design files, and technically check if everything is correct. But it actually was quite fun for me because I learned how design works digital. I mean, like how colors works, and how can you create a new color just using different numbers of different color channels in your Photoshop or other programs. And it was quite fun, and this is where I first saw design in general, and I've been working with other designers near me. I just saw what they're doing, and it was really interesting for me to see like, okay, it's something new. It's really interesting for me. They use the same tools that I I use, so maybe I can do the same. And during this year, I started doing some design as well. At first, it was like graphic design, mostly some advertising, some flyers, posters, um, yeah, and things like that, like logotypes. Uh, yeah, I really liked it. I decided that I want to go in this direction. Again, it was still all new for me. I didn't know like how can I end up in a few years and what it's gonna be, but yeah, just decided to try. And after that, web design, so-called, it was became really popular in Ukraine. So I started working in this direction and learn more about how web design works, what I should, how different from graphic design, what else I need to learn more to be a web designer. So yeah, my next work, it was mostly freelancer for 1.5 years, I guess. I worked with different web design projects and mobile applications and so on. So I worked less with graphic design, like just with some advertising, and moved more to so now we can call it UI design, but yeah, it was web design and design for mobile applications. And after that, I started working at Beetroot. At that time, it was known design title as UI and UX design. It's kind of like a where how web design transferred to a new job title, I would say. But after a while, it can't hear the voice. Okay. You don't hear me? Okay, I try to mute myself and unmute again. Yeah, cool. Everything's okay. Yeah. So yeah, I started working as a UI UX designer. I will talk about responsibilities a bit later, but and also during this period while I was working at Beetroot, I also was a teacher at Beetroot Academy. It was a few courses of web design and UI UX design for beginners, and also I wrote my course of Sketch app. It's another graphical tools. So yeah, and last year I moved to Sweden, and now I could continue working with a company which I was worked remotely for last 3 years here. And yeah, I wrote here product designer below, just to show you one more like designer title, and it's kind of what I can say about myself right now, because I work more closely to product, to users now, so it's and more involved in a product at all. Yeah. If you have any questions so far, just let me know. Good. So moving forward, what kinds of IT design profession are there now? As you saw in my experience, there are like plenty different titles for IT design professions, which I personally also changed. And it's good to know that there are really many of them right now. There are also like some general commons that you can find. but also some more specific design profession that you might also will be interested in. And yeah, let's check some of them. I will briefly go just through some of them, describe what they are, so you became more familiar with them, and then we'll focus on UI. So there is a UX design or user experience design, which is more, I would say, user-centered design, where you as a designer working with user flows and user experience, your main goal is to understand user needs and try to solve the problems that it's you're facing, and yeah, try to improve usability for your products, either it's a web project or mobile application or other software. Also, there is like interaction design. It's more specific things, but also it can be a part of user experience design. And focus for interaction designer more on how user actually interact with your product, when do they use it, how do they use it, and so it's more about yeah, actual user cases, and in which of them user interact with your product in general. Also, there is information architecture design. This is focused on all content that you have in your product, and you as a designer, you need to create, you need to organize all this content and create a navigation of it for your product. As an example, it can be how the navigation works in e-commerce websites or different mobile apps. So when you need to reach some endpoint during using your app or product, this designer is actually who is working with this navigation. Also, your user research. This design profession is mostly focused on user researching. Like when you start working on design for any kind of product, you need to, at first, to understand for whom you're creating this product. So this designer is basically working with user group, trying to understand what is the user group for a specific product, and try to find as much as possible information about the user, so it can be used in while creating your design, because everything is like can be really helpful creating and UI design. So yeah, the goal for user research is to find all information that can help us to create and deliver really great product for the end user. But I would say all of this interaction design, information architecture, and user research, it's more like specific design profession. And UX designer, it's the one who can combine all of them. So it's more often you can find a UX design role, and you need to know that you probably will need to do like all of these things in a scope of user experience design. Also, another one I will say it once, UI design is also the same for as a UX design, but for these things. So as a UI designer, you probably will work with motion design, and it's all about animation. It's how your elements in your website or applications behave and move, and illustration is the one who can create something like this. And visual design, or also called like a graphic design, which is more focused on some small details in user interface. But all of these things can be also combined in a UI designer role. And just to say that right now it's really a lot of different other designer roles, and it depends on team's needs and company needs. So and all the definitions for all design roles can be very different from one company to another. But yeah, probably what I said, it's something more common that I saw. Good. Again, if you have any question, just write it in the chat. What is UI design or user interface design? It's a short definition here. Is a design for software with a focus on maximizing usability and the user experience through the styling of the interface elements. It probably sounds a bit strange, but the difference of UI design compared to others that I described, I probably will be better seeing here. So for example, as you can see, this part, it's called wireframe. This is something that a UX designer will give you as a UI designer. And the responsibilities of UI designer is to create from this something like that. So basically using different styles and working with colors, typography, shapes, and so on, you're creating a final design and something that the end user will eventually see. This is a simple example, and it's actually what we will try to do today. And more examples here. It's from dribble.com. Just so you can see what else can you create working as UI designer. So you can see it's a lot of work with different styles and concepts, ideas. And your work as a UI designer is mostly focused on how to create all those things. So you don't think about, you don't think a lot about user needs and user researching. Of course, you always like taking it to consideration as like all the user researching is something that you are starting working with. But your work is mostly focused on creating styled UI elements. Good. So I guess we can go next. Your daily tasks and routine. I will try just to explain how your common day might look like. It can be different, might be different from one company to another, from one person to another, but it's something that I'm personally doing quite a lot. And so I hope it will help you to understand if you decided to start your career as a UI designer, what you are going to do practically. The most important things are highlighted here. Yeah. I will go through all of them and try to quickly describe what it is. So get a task, first things to do. You will get a wireframe, for example, that you saw before, or just describe an idea of what you need to do. And can be like a new idea for a website or a mobile application, or you need to work with already existed UI design and just to improve it, or try to make some small changes to improve whole user experience. So when you get your task, it's very important to take a cup of tea or coffee because you need a lot of work to do. You need some energy. After that, you do research. You need to understand your competitors, what's the best practice of task you got already there, and just find some already existed examples of work you need to do, because probably someone already done something and you need to analyze, is it good enough so you can use, or there are no like solution for task you've got. The next one is looking for inspiration and using tools like Dribble and Behance and Musli, so you can find, as an example I showed you before, what other people have done. So just to know what is up to date right now, what kind of styles are people using, and so on. And it's quite important step, I would say, for beginners who just started working as a UI designer, because you don't know like so much things that people doing, and you don't have in your head like examples of how it can looks like. So it's I would say a really good thing to always looking for some inspiration before you actually start working on something. Yeah, and when you have your task, when you did some research and you're inspired and you have some ideas, it's a really good time to start working. And what you need to do is create a prototype of final designs that the user will see. So you start working with different styles, different design ideas and conception, how it can looks like and works, and so on. And it's the most interesting step here. And when you've done it, you need to test it, of course. And it's a lot of tools that allows you to use to test your design on your directly on your phone or other devices, so you can actually see how your design looks like and works in your real device. And testing again, because yeah, you will test a lot of what you've done. And sometimes it's really boring, and you need to rest for a while. So just forget about your work and go to do some fun to refresh your head. I would say it's really important things to do. Okay. Sorry, I just saw a comment from. I tried to speak a bit louder. Yeah. So I'm testing again. You will do a lot of testings, and after that, you will need to approve your design. So you go to your design lead or project manager or client and trying to like sell what you've done so far. And it's the worst part, I would say, because it's really hard. You've done a lot of work, and then everyone will say you like make a logo bigger, play with fonts, change button colors, and so on. And you don't really want to do that because you already have done a lot. And you think it's really good, but yeah, it is what it is. You will have a lot of feedbacks, and you will go back to this point and start again. So we'll do fixes, testing, and so on. After that, it's usually your design is approved, hopefully. And it's time for celebration, of course, because it was a long way to this. When your design is approved, the next important things to do is to deliver your design to the development team who will actually implement it. And there are plenty of tools which can help you with this, so you don't need to do so much work, but still it's very important how you will send your design to developers so they can read it properly. And they will need all information about your design, like colors, font size, different distances from one element to another. And if you do this step wrong, what they will implement, it might be very different from what you actually done. And at this step, you don't need to do a lot, but you need to test a lot what developers will implement, because in this step, you who will review their work and give some feedbacks to them, because your goal is so the developers will do exactly the same what you've done. Yeah, and the last step here is argue with developers, because you will do it probably a lot as well. Because when you start working, start your work as on a project, and you very often ask developers like, okay, can we do this and that? Can you implement it or not? Because you probably will have a lot of great ideas, and they will say, yes, we can do everything. But when you actually prepare your design and you want to, and you send it to them, they will say a lot of things like, yeah, we can do this, you need to simplify it, and so on. So it will be a lot of discussions here. Yeah, of course it can be different, as I said, from one team to another, but it's something that I've been working and I've been doing for during my experience as a designer. So yep. Our next step is to do some practical task. So if you have any questions before we get started, you can probably write them, or we can start right away. Good. I will take this like no, and let's start. So again, if you don't have an account in Figma, please go to figma.com. You can create a new account there. It's free. It's a web application, so you don't need to download anything. Yeah, and you can remove this account after if you don't want it. I will do the same. So I will change my sharing. Yeah, do you see a new screen now? Yes, good. So I'm considering you doing the same as me, so I will try to do it slowly and describe what I'm doing. Figma is one of tool, like a graphic tool for creating a design. I'm personally I use a Sketch. It's a different one, but it's very similar to this one. So we'll try to use it and create a very simple UI task. At the right top corner, you can see plus button, and it at once create a new file for you where you can work. So what we are going to do is, let me, yeah, I'll put it here. So we have a wireframe, which let's say we got from UX designer. And this is what you usually will get when you working as a UI designer. So you'll have wireframes like this, and your work is to create a final styled UI design from this wireframe. And this is what we are going to do now. So at first we need to create a so-called artboard. It's a workspace. Let's go to a toolbar and left top corner. We have frame. And when you select it, you have at the right sidebar some pre-selected artboards for different types of devices. Right now we need some phone device. So let's select this iPhone 11. It can be different. It depends on which one do you need to use, but just for example, we can use this one. So In the right top corner, you can see present button. If you click here, you will see a new web tab with mock-up of your design. So this is where you can test your design, and whatever you will put in this artboard, you will see here, and you can see how it actually will looks like on a final device. So let's go back, and yeah, let's start to create our UI. So what do we have here? We have a logout page view for some app, let's say, and we have a picture profile, username, email, logout button, and close button. This is what we need to recreate and style. Let's go to toolbar left top corner and select ellipse tool. And if you hold Shift on your keyboard, and yeah, you can create a circle. It will represent our user profile picture. When you select it and you can drag it a bit in the middle, it will stick when it's exactly in the middle automatically. So just align it like this and leave it for now. Then let's create placeholders for our text, username, and email. Again, top toolbar, select text tool, click somewhere in our artboard, and now we can type some text. Let's see, NDDO. And we need another text for our email. Let's do the same. And some example for email. Yeah, something like this. And we also can at once create logout text. Good. So let's work a bit with text in the middle. We can also align it, select it, drag it in the middle to the stick, and do the same here. You can also do it using optional panel. So when you select your layer, text layer, here you can have align buttons. So you can click here and it will align automatically. And let's move a bit like this. Good. And let's do the same for logout. And for our, yeah, it's aligned. Good. What else left? It's our shape for our logout button. So let's go to toolbar, select rectangle, and create some shape for button. As you can see, it's above our text. And if you look at the left sidebar, you can drag this layer below the text layer with logout text. Good. And let's align it as well. Okay. So we have almost all elements that we need. Now we can just style them. And for picture, let's start with this. You can have a different kind of fields here. So if you go to right sidebar, you can find fill. And if you click here, you see the menu where you can change color for this fill. But you also can change like a type of this fill. In our case, we will need some picture. So if you go to this menu and select image, and then you can click choose image and select any image from your computer. What I wanted to show here, instead of doing this, let's do it a bit differently. In Figma and also in Sketch, you can use different plugins for different type of things you need, which can make your life much easier. And for example, here, if you click right mouse button and then go to plugins, I already installed Unsplash plugin. So if you go to manage plugin, you can find it also. And if you click here, you'll see this menu. And for our case, yeah, we have different presets you can use, but and it's basically this plugin is free image stock that you can use in your design. And for example, for our case, we need a portrait. And if you just click here a few times, you can get a different pictures that you might use in your design. Just pick the one you want. Yeah, this one is quite good. And that's all. Let's leave it like this, and let's style a bit our text. So we can make this text a bit bigger. Let's say 24, and align it on center. And we also can change this from regular to bold. So make text a bit bolder. And for email, we also can make it a bit bigger. Let's try this one. Also align text in the middle and align it in an artboard. And we can change the text color a bit, make it more gray. Yeah. If you put it a bit closer, and now this one. Yeah. So it can be like this. Good. So, and we have our logout button. What we can do here, we can change color. Let's use some red color. And we can make corners around it. Let's use 12%, 12 pixels. And now our text is not that good visible here, so we can change color maybe to white and make text a bit bigger. Not too much, maybe like this, and also make it bold. Yeah, and we'll align it in the center. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty easy. We can go to this our preview tab and see how it looks now in our device. Yeah, we can add a few more styles here, and let's add some shadow for this button. So click effects, plus we have a drop shadow here. If you click on this button, you can see different settings for this effect. And yeah, we can just play with numbers, make it a bit wider, like this. Change color and opacity, maybe bit too much. Yeah. So now basically you can play around and do whatever you want, how you like it. Yep. We have one thing left here. It's our close button. So we can create it as well. If you use your touchpad and zoom a bit, we can go again to a toolbar, select a rectangle, if you hold Shift, you can create a square. And we need, let's say, 24 pixels. And this will be like our frame for our icon, so we can make it in a better way. And we need a cross icon, which will say this is a close button. So if you zoom in a bit more, so you can see pixels more. Again, we go to a toolbar, select, let's say, rectangle, and let's create a rectangle to 20 pixels. So we'll have like a line, and it's hard to see, so we can change the color to black. And now if you align it in this our icon frame, and also you can turn it here 45 degree. So it's almost what we need, and we just need to select this layer, and if you press Command D, you can see that you duplicated your layer. It's 2 layers now here, and now you can turn it in another direction, so minus 45, like this. So good. And yeah, we have our close button, and if you remove a field from this icon frame, and now you can select everything and just move it in some place you need. Yeah, like that. So if we go to our preview, yeah, it's a bit too up. We need to move it down a bit. So let's do it. Yeah, of course, you need to do it more precisely and use specific coordinates. But for now, it's good enough just to place and see how it looks. Yeah, I will say this is it. What we've done is we use wireframe from, let's say, UX designer, and we've done our job as UI designers. We create a prototype. It's a very simple one, but still, yeah. Okay, I'll change my sharing again. Yeah, that's probably everything that I wanted to tell you and show. So it's time for questions. If you have any, let me know. Yeah, it's actually a good question. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, right now it's, as I showed you, plugins in Figma. It's only one functionality that helps you, but another one is different components and libraries. It's just to describe it, it's something that you can reuse in all your prototypes. So if you have, like, let's say, a complex web application or mobile application, and you need to reuse your elements everywhere, so you don't need to just copy paste it. You can create a component and use it in all places you need, and then you can change it only in one place, and then it will be updated everywhere. So based on this functionality, right now it's created a lot of different libraries that you can use. It's library for material design for Apple and yeah, Android, which use material design that you can use, and you can just it looks a bit like a Lego, so you can create your design just using already existed components, and you just change some text or icons inside, and you basically can create this UI very easily. Okay, so question about resources for inspiration. Yeah, I guess you're asking, if I right understand, about like what where to find this inspiration. The one I mentioned is dribble.com, and also Behance. It's like a huge design community where you can looking for different inspiration, what people do, and most of them are also have like different resources that you can actually download. And most of the designer, when they upload some their works, they also upload resources and like work files, Sketch or Figma or others, so you can download and use them. And also difference with, yeah, where should I start when I want to create layout for web application? Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, depends on if you have if you have some specific task and you know what to do, and where you should start. It's, as I said, exploring some inspiration what people already have done, so you can see how UI design for web build it. So you can yeah, then take Figma or Sketch or other tool and just try something out. How can we how can we implement UI design in coding? I'm not sure I fully understand like about implement UI design in coding. What I understand, when you finished your UI design, you basically what you've done is just to like you, you described the idea of how your final product should look like, and it's not a final thing that user will use. It's something that developers need to do in code. And your design is like a guide of how to recreate it. So using different coding languages, they can use your information from your design and yeah, implement it using different, because they will know like which colors and font size to use, which image and where to pick and so on. This is how it will be implemented eventually. What's the difference between Figma and Sketch? Very good question. It's right now it's, I would say, probably a fight between designers in design community, like which one to use. I personally use Sketch because I just I get used to it, and I'm using it for, I don't know, maybe 4 years or 5. But the difference in functionality, they are very the same, very similar. Like you can find very similar functionality in both in Figma and Sketch, and both tools are very popular right now. What I heard like from the last things I heard, Figma is more suitable if you are working in collaboration with other designers, and or you are working in a big team and you need easily to share your design across the team, or you need to work on one prototype and you are a few people. So Figma is probably better for this. Sketch also have a lot of things. And yeah, as I said, they are very similar. It's probably what you want to try. I would say Figma is a bit better things to start because it's free. You can use it for free. Compared to Sketch, you need to pay for it. So good difference in it. Do you need to have a background in programming for UI design? Yeah, good question about programming for UI, because you can start without any like understanding how it works. It's okay to start, but definitely good to know how things will be implemented. Because I personally know like some web languages and how things will be implemented for Android and iOS, and it's really helped me a lot because when you create a design, you keep in mind how people actually will implement it, and it's a lot of it gives you a big advantage, like just to prepare your design in that way, so developers can easily implement it, and it will speed up your general work process, so you can finish your work very quickly, and the work you personally done is much better because it's something that people can actually use. So I would say it's very connected, and if you want to learn more and become a better UI designer, you definitely need to learn some programming. But it's good enough just to know some basics, I would say. Yeah, probably will take the last comment. Which is your favorite part about UI design, and what about wireframes, I think? My favorite part about UI, it's probably something that like if you take user experience design, for example, you need to do a lot of researching. You need to do a lot of like just working with numbers, with some articles, and researching users, and creating different charts and so on. And eventually, what UX designer do is just creating a wireframe. Compared to UI designer, when you work as UI designer, it's more working with styles and different design ideas and concepts. So probably it's for me favorite part here is that you can create something it's beautiful and nice looking, and that will also like will help user better understand how to use product, but at the same time it will looks nice, and yeah, you can show your creativity and so on. So probably this one. Wireframes part of UI or UX? It's really hard to say. For me, I would probably say it's a part of user experience design, but I worked as just separately as a UI designer for not a very long period of time. It's probably a few months where I just worked with already done wireframes. The rest of the time, it's my responsibilities to create wireframes. So yeah, I'm doing both UX, UI, and it's quite hard to say when you need to create wireframes during UI part or UX. So yeah, I would say both, probably. Good. Yeah, I don't have any other questions, and I guess we time up. So yeah, I guess we can finish. I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar, and if you had any questions, what is UI design and what is UI designer do, I hope you found answer to it. So thank you a lot for your time. Hope to see you in the course.